Well, thank you for watching. Killer is Inside the House. That was directed by Marcia Denice, and we are pleased to have her on the show. My name is Anthony Jeroen, founder of the Desperate Film Fest. With me, Joe Flynn, award-winning producer of Creativity, and Kevin Nicholson, writer for Horror Newsnet. You hear us regularly on the Grim and Bloody podcast, but this is something new we're trying out for YouTube. It's going to be basically a screening followed by a Q&A with the director. So I'll give you a little bit more insight on the film and what's happening with the filmmaker who put it together. So thank you for coming on, Marcia. It was a pleasure to watch that short. It was quite a twist at the end. I wasn't expecting that.
No, no, that was intended. So.
Yeah. Now, was that your intention to have the female become the killer in a way?
Yes.
Now that everyone's seen it, we can basically, it's spoiler free. Was that intentional? Say, I'm going to kind of subvert the intentions to have. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I that's the reason why I wanted to make this film, because I had the idea of like the woman being, all by herself and basically being stalked by this, this intruder. But I wanted her to be even more dangerous than the intruder. So that's why I put the twist in there. So it was more like you go into somebody's house, you see somebody sitting all by themselves and they're vulnerable, but you don't know who they are. They could be even more crazier than you are. So that's what I wanted to do.
It seemed interesting that you actually play with psychosis in a way here, because your short starts out with the woman appearing to be, the everyday citizen,
mm-hmm.
and the killer is a clown costumed, being outside, looking in, coming into, to the place. And as Anthony mentioned before, this is where you twist it up.
Mm-hmm.
Killer is coming in thinking that the woman, the heroine, is somebody who is easily preyed upon, and she instead turns the tables on him, and it makes you ask the question of who is the killer here. Who is, or even questions like which kind of killing is more right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, him, her, or her, and you see it too when he has been stabbed and he's down on the ground, and she continues to repeatedly stab him without a whole lot of emotion coming from her. It's almost like, I am having a very bad day, and I get to exercise the demon. Was that something that you were looking at playing with?
Yes, that was definitely something I was playing with. Yeah, she. Well, I guess if you watch it, like, first it seems like she's just defending herself, right? Because
Right.
she sees him in her cell phone screen, and then she has the knife with her because she was cutting oranges. So it seems like, oh, she's just defending herself, but then the guy is on the floor, so he has been stabbed, and he reaches for the knife, like the knife that she had, and then she picks up the butcher knife and just stabs him. But like you said, she does it repeatedly, and there's no emotion to her, and that's when
Now, when you and one of the things that we usually open up interviews with, and I'll ask you this at this point. Did you have an inspiration for not only becoming a filmmaker, but an inspiration when it came to this film? Hollywood does not have a history with quite that many female directors in the horror genre. And did you look elsewhere? And whom did you look for?
Well, no, it wasn't like that. I wanted to be like a horror filmmaker or anything. I just loved horror, and I loved writing. So first, I just wanted to be a writer, but I just had so many ideas, and I didn't want to let somebody else do it. Like somebody else direct it or something. Right. So I was just like, just let me try this. Just let me do this. And I didn't really think about the fact that there aren't enough women, especially in horror directing. So I just did it because I wanted to do it.
Now, it looks like your film has a definite John Carpenter influence, and I know that you've talked about that before. Elaborate on it, because I saw several points in the film where I was thinking Carpenter. Yes.
Yeah.
Carpenter.
Yeah.
This is so. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, like I said, like Halloween is like my favorite horror movie of all time.
Yes.
That's the movie that
I think we can all agree on that one.
Yeah.
It is great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember when I saw it, like, for the first time, I was like 7 or something, or 8, I don't know. And I just loved it. That was
I can go in my garage and get my Halloween mask.
That's awesome.
It's funny because the only time that the clown suit is used in Halloween is with the child. With Michael as the child. You use it with an adult person. Was that something that was just kind of, let me do a twist on it a little bit?
Yeah, well, first the idea was just to let them have like a mask and then just like a simple hoodie or something. But me and the actor, we talked about it because he's really into costumes and stuff, because he's also a cosplayer. Okay. And we watched a bit of House on Sorority Row, where the killer wears a jester costume. I always loved that costume. And I thought, I really love like the 80s cheesy horror slasher flicks, and most of those killers, they wear like very gimmicky outfits, very cheesy, and we wanted to do something with that than just let them wear like a regular hoodie and jeans, because I saw a lot of shorts where the killer was wearing like a hoodie and a mask, and I didn't want to do that. So
it's cliche. You see that so many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's been done so many times, and I just didn't want to do that. So that's why we went for the clown costume.
Yeah, the Killer Inside the House was it screened at the Death Rate Film Fest last year, and it was immediately one of our favorites when it came through. The judges and myself, when we saw the submission, it was immediately green flagged as something that we definitely need to show, because it hits on all the on all the right targets. One, it's less than 6 minutes, so it easily fits into a festival schedule. And two, it gets to the point fast, and it has a nice twist at the end. So I mean, it hits all the right marks. It gets attention right up there when you see the knife and the killer stalking, and at the end you kind of see the drawing of a woman. And I thought, it hit all the necessary milestones for an excellent short for a horror story. And it was definitely one of the crowd favorites. And thank you for coming. It was a pleasure to meet you last year. And
it was awesome. Yeah,
it was a good experience.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I know. Quick question here, Marcy. Who is in this cast so people can get to know your actor and actress?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Well, the main actress is Charlene Kriekaard. She's at the time she was studying at a theater in Amsterdam. And so she is like the main actress. She does a lot of shorts mainly. So she's not in feature films or anything. And the actor Eugene, who plays the killer with the mask, he's actually somebody that I've known for a very long time, and he loves to do stuff like this. He's just very good at it. I didn't have to give him much direction. He's a horror fan as well. He has like a lot of those horror tattoos, like Jason and Freddy, and you've seen it all. So.
Awesome.
Hey, you want to be in a movie? I can't pay you, but you get to play a killer.
Something like that, right?
I had the pleasure of working someone like that for my short. I forgot his name. He was only here for less than a day, and we just put him through the ringer. It was part of going to be a little of a snuff film for the last showing. And when you get actors or friends like that who are just gung ho, you're like, I don't care. I just like being a part of this because I love horror. I mean, that's when you can really have some fun with them.
Exactly. Yeah. That's. I think with people like that, it's very. I don't know. It's not like you're actually working on something. You just have fun. You're just doing something that you really love, and it goes just very smoothly.
I have a question for you. Going back to the film, I couldn't quite tell. This is on the subject of gore and the kills, the blood, the kill scene. I couldn't quite tell if there was if the reason that you cut away from the butcher knife going through this, going through the skin, because of budget constraints, which that would seem to be part of it, but it also seemed like you have maybe in one respect an aversion to the gore, like Carpenter did, where you wanted to to not show you the dagger plunging into the person's chest, wanted to show you just the knife and then cut away. Was that kind of your intent with this?
Yeah, that was my intention, right? Because like I said, like the Carpenter Halloween it's like, I mean, John Carpenter's Halloween doesn't have any gore. It's
bloodless.
Exactly. Yeah, it's bloodless. Yeah. So I wanted to do that, and also because I didn't have the budget to show any of the stabbing going into the body, so it was like, okay, let's do it this way.
But it seemed like you were very okay with that. I was
okay with that. Yeah. Maybe if I could go back, maybe I would have showed like blood splashes on her face or something. Maybe I would have. I'm not sure, but
it doesn't need it.
No, it doesn't need it.
Yeah.
No.
Because the imagination can fill in the rest, and I think sometimes when that happens, the imagination can make it darker or scarier than it maybe it really was.
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah,
exactly.
That is true. Because you don't see that much horror short films that don't have a lot of blood. Because most of the horror shorts that I've seen have a lot of gore. They have a lot of effects and stuff.
You think gore is overused?
Sometimes, I think, yeah. I don't think it's always necessary to show gore, but sometimes it can work. But it doesn't really mean that your movie is like scary or creepy. Just bloody.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Thank you. Joe, come on, you got questions?
Oh, I do.
Come on, Joe.
I do. Hey, leave Michael Myers out of this. Don't make him come and chase you down. Mikey agrees. He really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah.
I had him on my shoulders watching it earlier today. No, but Marcy, how long have you been a filmmaker?
I think for now, like for 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. So I did some student shorts before I made the Killer Inside the House. So I was just fumbling around, I guess. So the Killer was like the first legit short that I did.
Now, sorry, Joe. Do you see the Killer Inside the House becoming a feature at some point? Is that something that you're looking at, expanding it into a feature?
No, not really, because I think it works better as a short. So I'm not sure how I would do it. I've thought about it, but every time I think about it, it's like, no, I like it this way. I don't see it as a feature at all.
Well, let me follow it up then. Do you think that can you eventually see yourself doing features where you may employ a similar idea of a slasher film?
Yeah, I've actually written a slasher feature. So I hope to do something with that. So yeah, definitely.
I could see that being the kind of like the catalyst for something longer. Slasher features have started with much less.
Right. Yeah.
True.
That's true. Yeah.
Well, many a slasher feature started out as a short. So
yeah. That's true. Yeah.
It's like this, Marcy. It'd be sort of like, what would be the motivation of our woman character in The Killer in the House, or our serial killer? So that point of view of like, what's that person's motivation and what's hers?
Yeah, that could work, I guess. Yeah, that could be interesting. Yeah. And you don't see many female killers on screen anyway.
That's true.
No, I can't. I've been thinking, how many have I actually seen on the screen? I mean, there was that movie Triangle. At the end, she had the knife. Geez, not a lot. There really hasn't been a lot. There's always been a couple, maybe with like the gotcha moment, but none where it was a legitimate female serial killer. Well, there was that one with.
I got one. You got Fatal
Monster.
Exactly. Well, maybe Sleepaway Camp, but that's actually a guy, so I don't know.
But I wouldn't consider. Go ahead, Gavin.
I was going to say, I'm going to age myself along with Joe, because Anthony and Marcia, I'm sure you're just kids.
Well, it's gray hair. See all this?
No, I'm not even buying it. Don't even.
I can double as Santa Claus. Okay.
Don't even. But you have seen a lot. Barbara Steele in the 1960s made a career out of playing whether monsters, killers, not necessarily serial killers. So there is that history. The one thing that what Anthony was saying is correct, though, is that there are very few serial killer antagonists that are being played by women in film. Probably Kathy Bates in Misery being pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Barbara Steele in the 1960s was playing those regularly. As far as the sorceress, the ghost, the demon, the creature, or simply a killer. But there really wasn't a female serial killer being portrayed. And even today, or even in the last 30 years, you can only point to people like Kathy Bates in Misery, or maybe one or two others. So I think that Marcia is hitting on something that she could really run with, which is a female, the female killer. And I think it's something that just hasn't been explored yet, and I applaud you if you're going to continue with that, and I encourage you to do that.
And when you start digging into it, you're kind of surprised with how many horror movies have come out, and geez, there's been a lot. I mean, they're all over the place. You can't skip a rock down the street nowadays without hitting 3 or 4 titles that you haven't heard about, and none of them really feature, female protagonists in the role of like a community threat, or someone where they are the true villain, and maybe they're even living amongst you. As the short shows, the whole time you're thinking that this person is innocent, and it's not until the end where everything flips on its head. So if something does turn out in a feature like that, I'll be very intrigued to see how it looks.
Yeah, because usually in particularly in slasher films, either the female is like either she's a victim or she's the final girl, right?
Yeah.
So
the lone survivor, right? We've seen enough of those.
Lone no. I was predating myself there. No, but Marcy, was it a lot of fun just to do this short film? Because it was a small filming location. It wasn't like, oh, hey, look, we have this gorgeous view of wherever. Let's just film.
Yeah, we just needed the living room, and the bit of the kitchen. So it was very small space, but.
Now go ahead. You must have felt like you were, sitting pretty, there, because I've talked to filmmakers who've done shorts who even filming, something as short as a 3-minute piece will tell you a tale of having weather problems, having some kind of issue because they used a portion even of outdoor filming and it took them 2 or 3 days. You must have been living the life of Riley, as it were, to get yours done in just 1 day. Of course, keeping it inside keeping it inside is always a good answer.
That's a good answer because you don't have to worry about rain or anything. So, or people walking by in the background, or
the whole sense,
or snow
control.
Late.
Yeah.
So it was pretty amazing. So we could do it in one day. And
how are things looking as far as distribution of this? Getting this short even more out there. Are you finding internet sites and digital platforms that are coming to you for this?
Yeah, actually it is. It's actually on Amazon Prime right now. So yeah, that's
Hey, yeah.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
I like the way she says this is on Amazon Prime right now.
It's just on Amazon.
That's right. Get it today.
It's on this little company. Probably heard of them.
Little thing.
Yeah, it's this little thing called Google. You might have heard of it.
What's Google?
Well, Marcia, during COVID-19, everyone's locked in. Everyone is, figuring out things to do. And what I've been hearing is independent studios have been overrun with filmmakers sending them shorts of what they're doing inside their house, and to the point where they don't even want to see it anymore. I'm thinking, because I'm a writer first, this would be an excellent time to put some pen to paper. As you said, you're a writer too. Is there anything that you've been cooking up that when they finally release everything, we're just going to see something amazing come out?
Yeah, I was actually planning on filming a short either this month or back in April, but of course, because of COVID-19, we had to cancel everything. But I still hope to film it either this summer or later this year. I'm not sure, because I'm not sure when this all is going to be over. So I was very looking forward to that. But it's just have to wait and see how everything works out. But I'm also writing another feature script, so keeping myself busy
Oh,
with writing.
and does this feature a female serial killer?
Yes.
Oh,
See, I
yes,
knew it.
yes.
I called it. Heard it here.
I'm saying I'm just having a vision of a young Sigourney Weaver, type who can go full throttle,
Yes.
Or you can get Sigourney Weaver and just de-age her. It happens.
There you go. There you go.
Right.
That might inflate the budget a little bit, just a tad.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, where can everyone find you, Marcia?
You can find me on Instagram. It's under Denice, so you can find me there.
Excellent. Well, I'd like to thank you very much for taking the time and talking about the killers inside this house. It was a pleasure to watch, and I feel honored that it was part of the Desperate Film Fest inaugural run. It looked great on the big screen, and I hope you get all the success you definitely earned.
Thank you for having me. So awesome. Never done this before, so.
Hey, you were fantastic.
This is our first episode, and it's looking good so far.
And the introduction of the Michael Myers doll, thanks to Joe.
That's right.
There we go.
And Michael Myers approves of the short film.
Michael Myers approved.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you, Marcia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.